What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm excited to bring you another new knife review. This is the Trivisa Mensae 03BB. The Trivisa Mensae has a 3.3 inch 154 cm blade steel, 4.72 inch Gmascus handles, for an overall length of 7.7 inches, and the claimed weight is 4.97 ounces. Let me grab the scale and we will check that right now. If it'll cut on, there we go. Yeah, so 5 ounces. It definitely feels like it's that 4.97 range. That probably could be any minor thing that is causing that to be different. Really quickly, here's what comes in the box. You get a really nice presentation here. It is labeled clearly what the knife is, what the box has in it, and this is a made in China knife. I thought it said it on the label somewhere. Did I miss it? No, I didn't miss it. It is a little bit snug to get out of the sleeve, but the tight tolerances does make it feel like it's a bit more premium. Inside the box itself, it has a magnetic lid. It has a nice pouch. It comes with the information card that has everything that you need to know about the knife and how to care for it. It has a nice microfiber cloth, and then it comes in a package inside of the box with very nice foam padding. So let me go ahead and get this all out of the way. What we're going to do next is run through the comparison knives. We'll dive into the knife and we'll talk about alternatives. So first up is actually going to be an alternative knife that is a regular comparison knife. That is going to be the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. This one here is the DLT Trading exclusive. I just realized I must have bumped the camera because I am slightly crooked. Next, we're going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. And as you can see, the Mensae from Trivisa is more closely comparable to the Yojimbo 2 than it is the Shaman. The Shaman is just bigger overall. Let me get these off the table and we'll bring out the next two comparison knives. What is happening? Why are you buckling down there? All right. First up, we're going to bring out the Benchmade Bug Out. This is also going to be close in length. The Trivisa is going to be just slightly longer and have more presence. And then we're going to bring out another knife that compares really well. That is going to be the SIG K320 made by Hogue. Another knife that compares really well to the Trivisa, especially for its overall presence. All right, let's go ahead and bring out the budget knives. First up for today's budget knife is going to be the Kershaw Skyline. This one here is going to represent where the Kubi normally sits, and we are going to bring out the Andela. The Andela here is going to be more closely comparable in size to the Trivisa. So let's go ahead and jump into the Trivisa Mensae, get these out of the way, and talk a little bit about the knife. So this is a smaller manufacturer that is just getting their lineup revved up. The knives are currently available, and I will have that linked for you down below. I really like this Gmascus. It has a very nice texture. It almost feels like a smooth micarta, the way that they did the milling on this and how it feels in hand. It has very nice contouring, and the ergonomic lines that they chose are really good. This feels very nice in hand, and it even has a little bit of a notch here for the pinky. It does have nice thickness to it. It feels very QSP-like in hand. Knife came nice and centered and has remained centered since I picked up the knife. Yeah, remained centered. Sorry, in the camera it looked like it was favoring the show side ever so slightly, but it actually is perfectly centered. Pocket clip goes in and out of the pocket nicely, but it is not reversible. It is right hand carry only. It does have a lanyard slot with a back spacer, ribbed or jimped back spacer to help with that palm grip. The flipper tab has a little bit of jimping, but it is also so tall that it is kind of hard to miss. So even if it wasn't there, I think it would work okay. The speed holes that you see going through here are all for aesthetics, but it does help reduce some of the weight. As you can see, that is all that they have because the liners are milled in or inset into the G10 scales. ceramic bearings in the pivot. It is a very thick knife with a lot of weight on the edge, so that does cause it to be very fall shut. It also has the speed holes that dub as thumb holes. Now, the thing with the thumb holes is that is a little small and a little tight to use. The steel on here is 154 cm. Another reason why I think this is very a la QSP, because Kaiser and QSP like to use a lot of 154 cm in their lineup. Access to the lock bar is okay. You have to remember to sit your thumb to the side and come over to it. Otherwise, it does want to pinch you because it is a nested liner. If you go over top and come over, it does kind of catch your finger a little bit, pinching the meat some, and it actually becomes a little bit uncomfortable to operate. But the way that they knocked this down and they chamfered the liner lock, when you actually come in from the side, it's fine to operate. Now, this is more of the medium-sized knife, definitely not full-size, definitely not a small knife as you saw compared to the Ojimbo 2, but it does a really good job. Again, I'm not a big speed hole person, and I think these look okay, but the speed hole actually does kind of catch a little bit when you're using the pocket clip with thicker pants. You can kind of feel it catch up a little bit, but it's not really bad. Like, it's not concerning to where I would say don't get it because of the pocket clip. Now, they carried these speed holes through the pocket clip and through the body of the handles and through the blade. I think this is just a little too much in the speed hole category for me. Now, if you like this look, this is great. You're going to have plenty of speed hole here going for you. The one thing about the 154 cm, it does have that satin finish. As you can see here, it is showing all of the fingerprints. Did I have to have this light up too high? I feel like, there we go. The satin finish, as you can see, it does show a lot of the fingerprint, and it does show up like all over the knife. That's the one complaint that I have about a satin finish. You can see all of the fingerprints on it. Now, of course, when it's cleaned up, and hopefully my hands aren't so greasy that it won't come off of the blade, it looks really good. Pretty nice grind, up and down, looks really nice. Now, one of the things that I don't like, it does have a nice thick tip out here. I think it could potentially break right here, but that's the same case with the Ojimbo 2, and I've had that for 6 months, and I haven't had that issue, and I use it pretty frequently. I think, personally, if they would have made this a full-on thumb hole, it would have been nicer to use, and I think aesthetically it would have looked a little bit better just to have that oval or rectangular thumb hole here. It would have saved some weight. The other thing that I think would have made this look a lot better is actually if they just made it a straight line back. I think it looks just a little bit more aesthetic. It's a little bit more pleasing aesthetically. I think it gives the knife better lines. I think it almost kind of matches the butt here, and the fact that the lines are both going in the same direction and it has that same shape. I also think it would have looked better in a closed position and taken up less space to, again, have that line. Like I mentioned, it would have taken less space and probably looked a little bit better, and you probably could have straightened this up, but I actually like the way that the pinky rests in here. It actually feels ergonomically very comfortable. From a deployment perspective, this hole is not usable. It does put you right up against the actual scales. You have to step down to the middle, and it always feels like I'm not going to catch it, but I have yet to fail deploying it with it. So it does have a lot of sharpness to it for it to actually work consistently. Have not had it fail, and I think part of that is because the detent is a little light on this. I think you could, if you wanted to, fail it, but the ceramic bearings on here are so smooth, I think that keeps it from happening. I'm really trying hard to fail that. So just keep that in mind. Now, I have tried to go down low from the side, and I'm able to use the small hole here. I don't know if I'll be able to do it upside down. Yeah, it's a little hard to reach it like that, but I am, when I want to go sideways and kind of deploy it finger down, I can get into it. I was just resting on the flipper tab, so I couldn't quite get that out. So it does use it, but again, I just think it would be cleaner and it would have looked just as good. They could have probably just I don't know. I like the speed holes, but I think if they would have taken the lanyard and ran it through the back spacer instead, kind of coming up and down, and just left this open, they could have probably moved this bolt down and just had, actually, you probably could have gone around that bolt for the lanyard and it stuck out the back. I don't like a lanyard when it comes out the side because it then thickens everything up back here and it feels awkward in hand. And this style here, it's going to rest against the scale and it's going to just poof out, and that, or it's going to come up into your palm and it's just going to feel very awkward. Overall, for the money, because this is a sub $100 knife, you get 154 cm, you get Gmascus, you get very nice build quality, a functional pocket clip, ceramic bearings, good liner lock, and a very nice edge. I have tested this edge and it is razor sharp from the factory. So if they're not OEing their own knives, and I have a feeling it's QSP, it just gives me that vibe, which is a good thing because QSP is killing it. So if QSP is the manufacturer, and for the money and the materials and the steel, it is really a buy that I can easily recommend. But of course, it is made overseas, and if you have issues with some of the things that I pointed out on the knife, I always recommend checking out the Yojimbo 2. Yes, it is going to cost you about $50 more, but it is a made in the USA knife, and you can get plenty of variants. I like the shape of the blade on this one a little bit better, and ergonomically it's just a little bit nicer. It feels a little bit better in hand. I'm able to lock in the thumb. I'm able to go all the way out and actually have room left over on the handle. The compression lock keeps the finger out of the blade path, and it goes in and out of the pocket nicely, and you have 4-way adjustable pocket clips. Phosphor bronze washers, which means it's going to be more durable in a dirtier environment that has dust, dirt, debris. It's not going to affect the phosphor bronze washers as much as the ceramic bearings. It is still fall shut action though, because Spyderco is awesome because they can tune the crap out of their their phosphor bronze washers. So that is option number 1. Option number 2 is going to also be about 100, 120, 130, 140 bucks. It's going to be the SIG K320 from Hogue. This one here has the Ergonomics, but it does not have the utility shape that you see on the Mensae. This one has a nice drop point though, so you can still get to those utility cuts fairly nicely. It does have that same issue where I talked about the thumb hole not being quite the right size, not quite the right opening, while it does still work. But this does give you the able lock, and it does give you S30V, which is arguably a little bit better for edge retention than 154 cm. 154 is more well-rounded, but you're going to get the same, you're going to get good corrosion, good toughness, and you're going to get excellent edge retention on your S30V. If you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, you're probably going to have to look at a Kubi. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what the name of it is. I'll throw it on the screen. There's a Kubi that has a very similar utility shape that's about 50 bucks, and I think they're making them in 14C 28N now. It could be closer to 70, which is almost the same price as this. So it would just be a matter of which one aesthetically do you like more. Overall, it's a decent knife, and I know this is some of their first production run knives, but hopefully they get some feedback. Either people are going to really love this, what's that whale that makes the sonar? I can't think of it. I almost said Bulbasaur. I had kids that collected Pokemons. Don't judge me. But you know what I'm talking about. It has the sonar, and it was in Finding Dory, I guess, was the sequel. But that's kind of what it reminds me of, like the head of that looks like that whale. So I don't know. Anyway, this knife is okay. I think for the money and the materials, if you like the aesthetics, it's a decent buy. There's no complaints, and it's certainly very comfortable to use for long periods of time. Can't complain. Overall, it's good build. Aesthetically, it's just not quite mine. It looked very interesting in the pictures, which is why I did pick it up. Out of all the knives that they have, this one was the most interesting looking to me. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and if you are subscribed, you are awesome. Thank you for supporting me and this channel. I greatly appreciate it. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.